And we are live. How's you doing, guys? How's it going? How's it going? This is a special episode of MOG interviews. A new thing coming to the MOG and Friends circuit. Not only do we do podcasts, we're trying to do reviews and first impressions, all things gaming when it comes to the MOG and Friends. And if you follow us on Twitter, then you definitely know that we have a very, 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 very special guest with us today. But before we get into the introductions of the guest, we gotta announce. We gotta introduce the MOG crew. Lee, say what's up to the people. No. Don't tell them what games you play. No. You ain't gotta tell them what games you play. No. That's the Saturday format. No. Just introduce yourself. That's all. As you guys can hear, that is Leash. As she is here. Demi, he's going to be here. He's running a little late, but he will be here. And for those that don't know who I am Persona. And for those that don't know what MOG is, MOG stands for Mind of a Gamer. MOG and Friends is pretty much a very chill podcast where we talk about all things gaming, controversial topics, and the community that comes with it. And we just love games, man. We just love gaming. We love games. And we love talking about games. And we love playing games. And that's just the whole thing. But with that being said, I have to introduce our special guest because we have a very, very, very special guest with us today. We have the studio director of Graphite Labs, Matt Raithel, creators of Hive Jump. Matt, please introduce yourself. Thank you. Definitely. So pretty much just tell the people a little bit about yourself, about Graphite Labs, and what you guys do. Okay, that's awesome. They saying they can only hear me. Hold on. Uh-oh. Listen, it wouldn't be a MOG. It wouldn't be a MOG anything without any type of technical issues. So hold on. Let me see. Speakers. Okay, how's about you guys say something now?
Hello.
Test. Okay. Oh my God.
Check 1 2 1 2.
I think they should hear. Yeah, they should hear you guys. Let me know in the chat if you hear them. You should. Oh my God, I'm so terrible.
That's all right.
I'm so terrible. We're gonna edit that part out. And we're gonna act like I was just talking to myself, guys. I was talking to myself.
It was practicing.
I was going. Yeah, that was practice. You guys caught me practicing. That's all you guys caught. That
Rubber
wasn't
baby
even a real
buggy
thing.
bumper. That's what he did right there.
I accidentally clicked the live button. I forgot I was live. You feel me? So let's do it again. Leash,
Lead the way.
Say hi to everybody, Leash.
Hello, everybody. It's me, Leash Capiche. Hi.
You guys hear her? Yes, everyone hears you, Leash. Okay. Now, Matt, once again, I'm so sorry, but please introduce yourself and let us know about Graphite Labs and everything you guys do.
No problem. I'm Matt. I'm the studio director for Graphite Lab. We created a game called Hive Jump that just released on Switch and Xbox One, and I'm happy to be here.
Definitely. So once again, just give us a little backstory on Graphite Labs and what you guys do.
Yeah, so we are a studio located in St. Louis, Missouri. We are built from a collaboration of tons of different developers coming from all over, and we're an indie studio, and we make games like Hive Jump for players just like you, and we also do a lot of different contract development and other IP development along the way.
Nice, nice, very nice. So I guess we can. The first question that I want to ask, and I want to get this out the way. Um, Hive Jump, we know it's on Switch and we know it's on Xbox One.
Oh Lord, here we go.
I gotta get the questions out the way because I know either I'm gonna ask it, you gonna ask it, someone's gonna ask it, right? Or someone in the chat are gonna want us to ask it.
Is there a Sony question coming?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Oh, boy.
Is there a chance now? Is there a chance that we can see Hive Jump on the PlayStation 4 or on a Sony platform? Period.
Well, yeah, sure. So, somebody asked me, "Hey, Matt, why do you hate Sony so much?" And I don't hate Sony. I love Sony. But our very real answer to that question is, as we grew up as developers, we developed mostly for Nintendo platforms, and then when the 360 came out, we developed for that. But we didn't really find opportunities to develop for PS3, and then when PS4 came around, the opportunities weren't there. So we just haven't really released anything on Sony platform before. So when we said, "Hey, let's get this out on some modern platforms," we as an indie developer take some risk. Are we going to be, effective and quick with this, or is it going to take a long time? So, we got to be kind of mindful of our team and capabilities, and we stuck with platforms that we kind of knew. Mm-hmm. So we had developed for the Wii U and we developed for the 360. So we felt like those would be more platforms that we would know well. So, if there's Sony folk listening, send me a dev agreement. We'll see what we can do.
Definitely. Maybe get a Kickstarter going for that and see
there
if
you
folks
go.
Are definitely support if they really want it. That's cool. So I guess one of the things that I kind of love when it comes to developers and their creative processes. Oftentimes with developers, they tend to pull a lot of their inspirations from real life, from other games or different things like that. So I guess my first question would be, what inspiration, if any, from any other games went into the development process of Hive Jump?
Oh man, well, there's probably many inspirations, but the two that you might see if you check out a screenshot is we like to call Hive Jump the very first Controid. Now you've heard of Metroidvania; those are old news. We want to debut the very first Controid, and that's Contra and Metroid. Mm-hmm. So I love Contra. I was a Nintendo kid growing up. And I loved Metroid just as well. Now, Metroid has stayed incredibly popular, and you've got this whole Metroidvania kind of genre that pops up. But Hive Jump was always meant to be an action game first and foremost. And yeah, there's some exploration here and there, but action was kind of at the forefront. So, Contra and Metroid, people have referred to it with inspiration to games like Turrican on the Genesis, mm-hmm. which I'd never played growing up. So it's really cool to see references to games that maybe we didn't, pull from, but there's some similarities. That's kind of neat. So, Contra and Metroid were among the most prominent inspirations for Hive Jump.
Okay, Contra and Metroid. Yeah, I definitely, those two games, and I got a little of Metal Slug, like it felt just a little bit of Metal Slug vibe. As soon as I seen it, I immediately was like, okay, I'm getting a heavy Metal Slug vibes, which who doesn't love Metal Slug? So right down my alley.
Sure. Yeah, the flames and everything from Hive Jump, like we were trying to figure out flames for a long time. And our artist that led Hive Jump, Mel Sievers, she looked at, all these different pixel art versions of how to do fire. And I want to say the explosions from Metal Slug kind of inspired our flamethrower and some mm-hmm. of the others. Metal Slug's pretty slick. Lots of big explosions and other energy.
Lots of enemies and
right. Yeah. Over. Very crazy. So yeah, Metal Slug's a pretty good comparison for sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, so my question is more like I like interpersonal. I guess not personal, but like questions like what are your like day-to-day responsibilities in taking care of producing Hive Jump and things of that matter?
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, Hive Jump has been in development for a pretty long time. So at the very beginning, you know, my role or what I did was just brainstorming and trying to figure out what the game even was. You know, and working with our team to see if we wanted to do a Kickstarter and kind of answering some of those big questions. When we got, like, say, maybe in the first couple of months of development, I would help by you know, organizing some of the creative direction. I did a lot of concept art for the game. But kind of towards the middle, we ran into some trouble as a development team where we had a lot of different, very talented people working on the game. We all had different opinions, and that can be murder for, you know, a team working together. Everybody wants to move it this way or that way. So what I needed to do in the middle of development was shut the hell up and step back and let the team, you know, kind of move it in a single direction. And so, you know, I've kind of had a million different roles in Hive Jump. You know, this last year has been somewhat hands off. We used a team called Wooden Anchor Games in St. Louis to help us bring this game to Switch and Xbox One. So while the creative and game mechanics were already established, we needed some help on the programming to get it to these platforms. So towards the end here, I was kind of more of a networking guy, not like on the IT side, but like trying to connect and find people who could help us get to these platforms. So, and I feel like I've kind of done it all with Hive Jump. But there's been, you know, a lot of different team members involved in the art and the design and, you know, all the concepting. There's been a lot of people contribute to it.
And so, like, being an indie developer, you just have to have like all the hats at once for the most part.
There's 15 hats stacked on top of each one of us. And, you know, much like I'm sure you guys have to do with this, you know, you guys have multiple different roles and disciplines. And, you know, when something needs to get done, you know, everybody says, all right, let's get it going.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. One of my question is kind of more so geared towards the game. So while playing the game, I realized even on easier levels, the enemies can be very unforgiving if you're not careful.
That's a nice word for it. Yeah.
Did you know from the beginning that this was going to be like a road-like adventure? Like, did you know, or was that something that you thought about like mid process? Like, we don't want it to be too easy, but we also don't want it to be too hard. Where did you find the middle?
So we didn't know from day one that we were going to make it roguelike and have people respond to it saying, oh, this game is very hard. What we knew, though, is if you're a space marine and you go into an alien hive, you might not be coming back. And so while classic games have your person like respawn or come right back to life, our idea is that in order to take over a hive, you have to spend a lot of troops. You have to lose a lot of, you know, good men and women to take over a hive. So, and robots too, right? We got a lot of robots in the game. Yeah. So we knew that, you know, we wanted to create an environment where the player felt like they were losing a lot, but still making progress. And that's where kind of the backpack mechanic came into play. So, you know, you've got this transponder backpack and it's your respawn point. So as long as you keep the backpack healthy, you can keep beaming in more troops. And so, you know, as players jump into this game, they're dying a lot, but, you know, which makes it feel like a really challenging game. But the backpack is really what you're trying to keep safe. So we thought it was a pretty, you know, clever idea. And that we knew from day one is that we, you know, wanted players to feel like they're sacrificing a lot in order to accomplish a bigger goal of reclaiming this planet.
Yeah. It's funny because with the backpack, in this, you know, the backpack kind of adds to the whole gameplay almost, because like there were times where I was getting swarmed by bugs and I would die and the backpack would, you know, it would be floating around, and I had the ability where when you spawn back, it does the explosion.
Yeah, so, I like that.
Instead of me moving the backpack away, I'm in the middle of the fight. Like, you know what? No, I'm gonna kill the little hive. I'm gonna kill all of you here. The backpack's getting beat up, but I do like that concept of, you know, keep the backpack alive, and you know you can potentially endlessly spawn if you keep it alive long enough. So I definitely do like that.
Yeah, that respawn, the telefrag, that's like the backpack's revenge, right?
Yeah.
You know, you killed one of our jumpers. Now we're going to, you know, give you a little blast back.
Definitely, Leash.
So what made you focus on like, because I feel like the game would be a lot easier if it was on co-op, like if you play with other people. Because I play by myself on my Switch handheld, so I was struggling.
Oh boy.
So, right. So like what made uh what's the question? So what made this more co-op heavy as opposed to like what made you want to make it more co-op heavy as opposed to like single player?
So when we were first coming up, and I mean like in the first month that we were even thinking about Hive Jump, we wanted to make a game that we could play with our friends. And we started this game in 2014, and it was actually December 2013 when we started this, and there weren't really that many local co-op games out there. Over the last 5 years or so, many like Hive Jump have come to Steam and other places that have local co-op, but it had kind of been drying up for a while. You had great single player games out there that were of this sort, but not as many local. So we knew from the very beginning we wanted to make a game that you could work with your friends, you know, play local co-op and have a good time. We actually added the single player after the fact. So when we came to Kickstarter in February 2014, initially we were thinking like almost online only, you know, like these, you know, MOBAs or other games where everybody has to come together to play. But feedback from our Kickstarter backers that first time said, you know, hey, what about single player? So we started with multiplayer, and then we kind of adjusted to make sure that a single player experience was still, you know, possible. But you know, just like the Hive Jumpers say, you know, it's better to jump with friends. Single player is a pretty tough ask.
It is very tough. And listen, I'm not really a fan of platformers, right? So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna play an hour of this game. If I die, I die. And I did my solid hour, but the whole time I wanted to chuck my Switch across the room.
Like, oh my goodness. Yeah. We don't want that.
Right.
But yeah, it's pretty tough, you know. It's
fun though.
Yeah. Well, good. Thank you.
Speaking of the campaign, the approach definitely is it is different, because when you're playing like the arcade mode and you're playing, you know, endless or whatever the case you're playing, and then you go to the campaign, it is a shift in how the gameplay kind of operates, because when you kind of have to, like, the idea is, and that's, well, from what I got from it is, like, in terms of the campaign, you kind of want to play everything else first and then go to campaign, because you need the points in order to level up the bases and whatnot and be able to move forward. So I did like that approach, because it made you feel like, okay, the campaign is more strategic based, but you need points and things like this to do anything. So what do you got to do? You got to jump straight into the thick of it and kind of just jump head first into, you know, this swarm of enemies, and then go back in and attempt to do what you do in a campaign, which I like. That's a very different approach, because, you know, most games, they tend to, you know, play the campaign, then do this.
Yeah.
I definitely see where you put the multiplayer or the, you know, the other experience at the forefront of the campaign.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty good feedback, because not a lot of players pick up on that intention. We do get a lot of them that go straight to campaign and feel like it's, you know, a little bit unfair. But as you mentioned, the work that you do in arcade can then feed into your campaign. So, you know, that's something where, you know, as we continue to improve, we want to try and make that more clear. But I'm happy to hear you picked up on that.
Yeah, definitely. I enjoyed that mechanic. I really did like that, because again, it makes you want to get in and, okay, now I gotta build this base, but I gotta go here and do this first. I need this much points. You give the player a lot of choices, which kind of like feeds into my next question, in terms of, like, you know, the fact that the player control over how they approach different situations in the game. So, for instance, every weapon serves a purpose, and you give the player a different way to tackle enemies. So in terms of like, upgrading your weapons, getting different bombs, getting different backpack abilities that can help you or hinder you in whatever way. So and it kind of almost feels like mini RPG-ish in terms of how you can like approach the situation with the specific weapons. So in terms of being able to upgrade the weapons and stuff like that, was that a design with what made you go with that design choice?
Yeah, so our weapons, so our very first iteration of weapons with Hive Jump was that um, the and this is like in the story of Hive Jump, but the scientists who are trying to figure out the best weapon to attack these aliens would be building weapons from pieces. And so our very first idea was that you'd have you'd have a weapon, you'd have a material, and you'd have like a modifier. So my weapon would be like a shotgun, my material would be ice, and my modifier would be like a split gun. And so that way I could piece together all these different weapon types. And we started down that direction, and our very first demos of Hive Jump had all that in there, where you were kind of piecing together your ultimate weapon to try and attack these aliens. But what we found out is that there were only a certain collection, let's say maybe 20 or less, that people really gravitated towards, that they felt were really effective. The rest were just kind of disruptions. So when it came to evolving that idea, we focused on the ones that the players really enjoyed using, and we cut out all the extra fluff. So the weapons that you've got still get upgraded, so they're more powerful, but the way they work, what they do, how they look, those are pretty direct. And, it helped us kind of rein in the scope of the overall game.
Yeah. Yeah, because like one of my favorite weapons is the cryo beam. And I was fighting one of the bosses, and the cryo beam, it was doing this thing, and it was on upgrade 2. Okay. And I was like, okay, let me get this to upgrade 3, because I was getting caught up by the boss. I won't lie, I was getting caught up, and so I ended up upgrading the cryo beam to level 3, and I noticed the difference in how the gun reacted, and how it how it kind of did damage and stuff like that to the enemies. But when I first started playing the game, I was playing with I saw the rocket. I saw that there was a rocket. And I'm like, okay, maybe a rocket, big explosion, boom. Yeah, that's what I go for, tunnel vision. And I get the rocket, and I'm like, okay, wait. I can't do this with the rocket, because the way the enemies behave in the game, a rocket is something that you would more so use in a team aspect, because you'll have somebody backing you while you're waiting for the rocket to reload. So I like how the weapons kind of play off of the co-op experience, because again, you can approach it where, okay, I'm going to be the rocketer, so I'm going to stay back, and you guys just protect me. And then you got the guy with the cryo beam, he's going to be front, he's going to be able to handle more of the enemies, because the beam reaches large, further, the more you go. I really appreciate it. And I really picked up, especially as me that plays like RPGs and stuff like that, I really picked up on those very subtle things with the weapons, and it kind of correlating with the multiplayer. So, really, really great job on that.
Oh, well, thanks for that. Yeah, that's cool. That's great. Leash, what kind of weapons did you play?
Since I only was on the first level, because I told you I'm terrible. I am so terrible at platformers. So I was just with the little the main gun or whatever. I wanted to get to where I could use different weapons, but I'm just not, I'm not skilled. I tried.
That's all right. Hey,
that's all that matters.
Every jumper in the Jump Corps plays a role. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, and I like I saw like the little references to like because I think the trial character's name is Harley Quinzel. Is that like the first Harley and Quinzel? Because I saw like different names pop up, and I was like, oh, okay, references. That's cute.
Okay, so the background behind the names was that when we first built the game and brought it to Kickstarter, we had a lot of fun with what the characters were named. And so we decided that we would open it up to our Kickstarter backers and all 2,000 of them got to put their name in the game. We don't care if they were a $1,000 backer or a very entry level backer. They got to put their name in the game. So we have about 2,000 names that were all contributed by our backers or our core team, and they all had fun with it. There's Harley Quinzel. There's spin-offs of other Nintendo characters. I think there's a Amos Saran in there somewhere. There's probably I'm sure there's like a Waluigi in there somewhere too. Like, we had a good time. As long as it was like, sort of, T for teen rated, we wouldn't stop it.
Right.
And, we had a good time.
That is what's up. Like to make it that personal to where, your supporters have like a piece of themselves in the game. That's really.
They had a good time, and they were way more clever than we could ever be. Like, they had some pretty funny stuff going in there.
Right. It's almost like, hey, do some of the work for us. Thank you. Instead of y'all having to go and find 2,000 names, there you go.
I definitely like, that developer appreciation towards supporters and gamers. That's really a great thing.
We call that a win-win. That's right.
Definitely. We have our third MOG Crew member. Demi, say what's up to the people.
Hey, how you doing, people? Sorry about that. Laptop was going through it. I couldn't join on mobile either. I was really going through it, but I'm here now. So,
guys,
hello everybody.
Guys doing, that Matt? Watch MOG, you know what this means. Whenever you're late, you gotta pay the fine.
Hey, that's all that matters. It's not me.
I'll take the fine. I will take it.
But Demi, please go ahead and ask your questions.
First of all, I just want to say Hive Jump is actually a really good game. Like, I wasn't expecting it to be as good, but it actually pulled me in for a while.
Great.
Awesome. I started playing for 30 minutes and I'm like, oh wait, it's 4 hours later. Okay.
Good.
All right.
Awesome.
I have a question, and I don't know if this has been asked, but I will say Hive Jump feels like the combo love child of Contra, Metal Slug, and somewhat Metroid. Could you tell us the inspiration behind this game?
Yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it. All three of those came up. I grew up in the 80s, and, I grew up on Contra and Metroid. And then when Metal Slug got introduced later on, I was blown away by their pixel art and the explosions and how complex and large their battles were. And maybe it's Contra and Metroid that maybe, inspired us initially. But in terms of exploring the visual style, Metal Slug gets in there. We have big explosions and kind of crazy weapons. And I think that's more Metal Slug than Contra. So, I think you nailed it.
Yeah, it's a lot of explosions on the screen, a lot of enemies coming toward you. And I noticed like the scatter shot is definitely a gun that feels like something that's from Contra and Metal Slug. That's personally my favorite weapon. That and the gamma ray.
Oh, nice. There you go. And which other one?
The gamma ray.
Oh, nice. Yeah. There you go.
It's a little bit weaker towards bosses, but it gets the job done against the mobs.
Yep. Yeah. It's like I think that Persona was saying earlier. There's some weapons that you are better off with if you're single. Some that you can do better if you're co-op. So that was something that we designed specifically, and wanted there to be some that were more effective in co-op or versus single player. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now I will say this: is there ever going to be a future point where you guys think about crossplay?
So that's a great question. So we've got some networking available on Steam, but the network programming is a very complicated process, and it's something that we're getting better at, but it's not perfect on Steam. So, when we talk about doing online play or, even crossplay, this is something that, it'll take us some time to invest in and do it right. So, when I get asked that question, I say, I really appreciate the fans' interest. I think it would be a great idea. But we want to make sure that what we're doing is done well, and that's going to take us some time. So nothing to announce just yet, but it's always good to hear from the fans that they want to play it distributed and with other friends online.
Yeah, crossplay is definitely like a hot topic right now. People want crossplay for basically everything.
Yeah, and me too, man. As a developer, as a player, I certainly am with you in that it's a very interesting proposition for sure.
Definitely. So, what's some future projects can you say that you guys like having like down the line? If you can, if you tell us one.
Yeah, nothing really that we can announce right now. But our studio, like if you look at our website, you can tell that we dabble in a lot of different things, and that's only just scratching the surface. But some things that have me, very interested is certainly in developing, new IP. We love Hive Jump. The release on Xbox and Switch has been very positive, so that's got me encouraged to do more for Hive Jump itself, as well as some other, new ideas that might be very, different from Hive Jump as well.
We'll take some DLC if you guys are like thinking about it.
I mean, I think it's a game that could very well support it. New weapons, new skins, new icons, new Hive layouts, new bosses.
New game plus a couple new bosses. I'll go through it once more.
There you go. Yeah, so it's a game that I think would really extend very well. And so far, so good. I mean, the Xbox fans and the Switch fans have really been digging it. So that's the energy that we were looking for.
Oh yes, it's a very hype game. I turned on some music. I just found myself getting lost into it. It's right up my alley. As big of a Metal Slug fan that I am, I really really love it.
Cool, awesome. Well, thanks, man.
Definitely.
So I kind of have like a really good question, and this is more so in terms of like, there's a lot of people out there that play games that kind of wish they could make games as well, or there are people that are attempting, going to school and things like that, and wanting to get into, creating games and stuff like that. So in terms of, you being a part of a development team and, having your team and things like that, what are three things, if not three, 1 to 3 things that you would tell somebody that is looking to get into game development?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. So, when I was a kid, there weren't, very many, game studios even in the U.S., let alone games programs. I mean, it's a very different landscape now. I'm actually doing this podcast from a university where I teach game design here in St. Louis.
Wow. Wow, that's dope.
There's, right. It's exciting to have that, and to have so many programs growing up. So, for the, last hour or two, I was meeting with future students, talking to them about how, through our program, the university is Maryville University in St. Louis. But there are 4-year programs to get into game design and to get into game programming and to get into music and to get into script writing and art and all these different disciplines that go into games. But my advice isn't to immediately think 4-year school, believe it or not. It's to think about what your core talent is. 40 years ago, you had to be an engineer. That's not the case today. You've got all these disciplines. You've got, art and programming and code and music and sound and producers and voice actors and all these things that make up amazing games. So my first advice is to think about what your interest is. Is it artistic? Is it computers? Is it math? What is it? Because even now, streamers and content creators and promoters and marketers are just as valuable to help make, games successful. So there's all kinds of disciplines. So that's my first advice, is just to think about, what a person asking this question might be into and seeing how that relates to games, and then go fill your passion, whether it's, grassroots style, build your own thing, or whether it's looking for, a program that might teach you creative writing or art or code. But first, kind of look within and then figure out what you can find nearby to help you advance your goal.
Nice. That's really good information. Guys out there looking to get into game development, man, from the horse's mouth. There you go.
There you go.
Leash, Demi, you guys got any other questions? Leash?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Leash.
Why do you think Flash games, 2D games, are still popular and have like this appeal to it? And how hard is it to cater to that niche of like that type of audience?
So when I hear Flash games, I think of like Castle Crashers. I think of Alien Hominid. I think of, you know, those types of games. So, you know, there's some charm to them. There's some charm to their imperfections. There's some charm to you know, they're experimental perhaps. And so I think that's what struck me when I saw games like that was just, you know, their rough edges, because we all kind of like that. We don't want things to be too perfectly perfect. There's some like humanity in some imperfections. So there's that. But you know, that compared with like kind of the type of work that we did with Hive Jump is, you know, Hive Jump had very strict rules about how we manage the pixels and the palettes and all these other things. So, you know, with Hive Jump, there was a lot of agony over making it just this, you know, look just this way. And there's some, you know, I think some appreciation on that too. So they're different, but what I like about those Flash games is that they, you know, are so fast and loose. There's a lot of energy in them.
Right. So like how hard, like, is it hard to appeal to that? Or like, is it hard to keep the interest within that niche of an audience, or is it difficult at all? Or you just have like a solid fan base, or it's like one of those type of situations?
It can be tough. You know, we got some feedback that, hey, because it's a pixel art game, Hive Jump, people aren't going to want to pay $20 for it. Okay. You know, we brought the price down on Wii U, and, you know, we got some nice attention there. On Switch and Xbox, it's only $10, so it's even cheaper. And fans, I think, have responded to that. But yeah, I mean, if it was a full 3D, you know, full open world exploration, yeah, I think, you know, that justifies that higher price point a little bit. So we did get some feedback that said, hey, a pixel art game at $20 is a little high. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got asked this, but I understand you as a developer, you're all about your craft and your game. But what are some of the games that you've been liking from this generation?
Ooh, when you say this generation, you mean like other like pixel art games and stuff? Or
no, just in general.
Oh, in general. Goodness. Man, I play all kinds of stuff. I was telling somebody earlier that I played the latest Spider-Man on PS4. I've never played Spider-Man. I don't play a lot of superhero games, but I got into that. That's pretty cool. But also, like, I'll play like homebrew Atari style 2600 games that are like 2 pixels wide kind of thing. So I'm kind of into all kinds of stuff. But my favorite, you know, system, I was telling Persona earlier, like I love like the Super Nintendo. That to me is like the pinnacle of sprite art. I think there's some beautiful games on that system. You've got Chrono Trigger and like the glory days of the sprite-based RPG. So if I had to be like locked away in a closet with one system only, like the Super Nintendo is pretty ridiculous.
Okay, that's fair. Can't go wrong with a Super Nintendo. One of the best.
I think it's pretty sure. Yeah.
Legacies.
Yeah.
Definitely. In terms of, you know, we're kind of at the end of this generation in terms of, you know, Xbox and PlayStation and whatnot. Going into the next generation, how do you feel as a developer approaching next generation?
Oh, it's always exciting. Yeah. I mean, it's like, I don't know if there's an analogy there, but like, it's like things get rebooted. You get a chance to work with new consoles, get fresh content out there. Movies aren't like that. Like movies, it's the same screen for the most part, right? I mean, there's not this like constant, you know, evolution of what you can do with a film. Yeah, we might get 3D here or there, but like movies have kind of stayed, you know, we went from black and white to color, and then like 60 years later, we get 3D movies, right? There's not a lot of change, but like with games, man, you know, we started with like, you know, 2 rocket ships, you know, going around a star. And then, you know, 50 years later, we have, you know, Red Dead Redemption 2 with, you know, 80 hours of, you know, huge gameplay. So anytime new console generation comes around, it's incredibly exciting. Like, yeah, it's a little bit, you know, there's a lot of effort, but I think it's fantastic. There's no, you know, other entertainment industry like it, in my opinion.
Okay. No, you actually just jogged another question too. In terms of Graphite Labs, who would you want to collab with and make a game with in terms of another developer or publisher?
Oh man, I don't know. We've got a lot of friends like this. That's the coolest thing about Hive Jump is that we've developed a lot of friendships. We have, some friendships with, we met like the Darkest Dungeon guys through Kickstarter. We know the Shovel Knight guys over at Yacht Club from Kickstarter and other like Nindy events. So there's we've developed a lot of friendships, but I guess that's kind of a drag, right? Games aren't as much like music in that there's not a lot of like collaborations. How cool would it be if like game dev, like especially indie devs, like got together, like us and like the Stardew Valley team, made a game.
Oh,
right?
That'd
like,
be dope. That'd be
I would like to see a concept of what that could be. I'm thinking about
Right?
Hive
Yeah.
Jump and Stardew in that collaboration.
Like all these musicians always collaborate all the time. Like, games I know take a long time, but mix Hive Jump and Stardew or, put, Shovel Knight and Darkest Dungeon together. I don't know. It just seems like that could be a good time.
Nice. That's dope.
An extreme farmer shooter? I can't get that out of my brain.
I'm not gonna lie, that Stardew Valley Graphite Labs collab actually got me I'm a little intrigued.
Got me interested.
Right? A jumper drops down, we burn all the crops. Hey man, we're trying aliens popping out of the ground, farmers running away.
Yeah.
Maybe I answered my own question. Now I know why that can't
happen. Leash, Demi, you guys got anything else from Matt?
Hold on. My notes. You ask a question. I know you got a lot of questions, Persona.
I've read.
I got one. I have one. Go ahead. So when you guys were working on Hive Jump, was the nail to make the game like extremely as difficult as possible? Because I've noticed. I didn't get a chance.
Go ahead. Yeah. The short answer is that we wanted the player to die a lot because we felt like the aliens needed to be aggressive. But the feedback of all the players saying, "Oh my God, this seems so hard," we didn't really expect them to see it that way because you die a lot, but like the backpack stays alive and that kind of thing. So. But yeah, man, we get that question a lot because when you first jump into it, you get your butt kicked. But as you guys have been playing it more and more, you kind of understand it, and I think that's pretty cool. So yeah,
it's actually much more lighter in terms of like roguelike games.
Oh honestly. Yeah, right? Yeah. You play something like Dead Cells, man, and you get
Unforgiving.
You're gone forever. With Hive Jump, especially if you got a few buddies, like you can last for quite a while.
Yeah, it seems like the errors from this game literally are your errors. These are your mistakes. So if you do mess up, it's from you.
Yeah.
Something a bit more unforgiving like Dead Cells or Moonlighter where, all right, these enemies or these mobs are coming at you in waves and you have to like dodge and jump and be more active. Hive Jump is like, oh, I made this mistake. Okay, this is my fault.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, that's well, it's nice to hear. As a designer, you don't want to feel like, the game is improperly balanced or anything, so that's cool to hear.
Definitely. Leash.
Okay, so the damage doesn't scale when you have more people, or no?
So what we do is we modify like the hive threat. So we try to think of it from the aliens' perspective. If we put in one trooper, would the aliens treat that as a big threat? Well, maybe not. So if you put in more troopers, the aliens' threat level would escalate more quickly. So so think about it that way. In terms of overall damage, we felt like, would they hit harder? Well, that doesn't make, as much sense. And I know that other games, treat that a little bit differently, but we just decided to throw more aliens at you. Maybe the hive swarms a little bit more, that kind of thing.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, guys, Hive Jump it's a great game. It really is. Definitely check it out on Nintendo Switch, Xbox One. $10. You can't beat that. It's on the Steam as well. The links to those are in the description if you want to buy the game. Also, please go follow Matt and go follow Graphite Labs. The links to their Twitters are in the description as well. Please go follow them. Go support this game. Go support these developers. Matt, do you have any last words?
No, thanks, guys. I appreciate the time. I had fun, and stay more warm out there in New York, Chicago, and Hotlanta.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank all of you for coming through to the very first of 2019 MOG interviews with Matt Raithel. Again, please go support these guys. They're a really cool bunch. They have a really great game, and we all appreciate you. We appreciate those that support us. MAGA Friends podcast, the episode 72 is this Saturday at 11 a.m. EST. And we'll see you guys then. Hope you guys have a great night. Be safe, and peace.